Warning. The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
God, I'm learning to love that stupid disclaimer that we had to put for our guests that are foul-mouthed, ill-spoken, and with opinions that nobody cares for. But, still, I love my guests, so I'm going to put that disclaimer so I don't get sued later. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything, wherever you are. Final stretch of the year, getting ready to wrap up 2023. Thank all the goodness in the universe, and getting ready for a fantastic 2024. Name is Esteban. The show is Whispered Insights, and we are here today with probably one of the most awaited by me and some of my fellow listeners shows in a long time. But we'll get to that in a second. Let me give you a really brief what we have left this year. We have 3 shows left this year. Show number 1 we have left this year is next Tuesday. It's a regular schedule. Craig Rosenberg is going to join us to talk about e-commerce. And this is one that you don't want to miss. E-commerce is not what your granddaddy used to do, in this case me, which I started in e-commerce in 1997. But it's a whole different world now. And we want to talk about that and how it goes forward, what's going to happen and all that stuff. The very next day on Wednesday, we have a repeat of the show that I screwed up last time with Rafaela Camera. We're going to be talking about transmedia. One of the topics that we're going to have a lot going on next year is transmedia. So join us to get started on that. And finally, the last show of the year, December 19th, my entire crew, that is Dr. Lauren Vargas, PhD, John Reed, Alan Bergson, and last but not least, by any stretch of the imagination, Liz Miller. The 5 of us will get together. We'll talk at the best insights of 2023 and what we expect to see in 2024. This is not going to be a prediction show. Nobody that I appreciate or respect does that. But this is going to be hey, this is what I learned this year. This is what I expect to learn next year. Okay, so then next year we have a much better agenda that you start seeing later in December. And without any further ado, I am so incredibly thrilled, excited, whatever word you want to add there, to welcome my guest today. My guest today will introduce herself, and I'll tell you, I met her about 8-9 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, at a Constellation Connected Enterprise event, and since then I've been nothing but awed, marveled, and incredibly shocked by the quality of her work, which she's going to introduce herself. She's going to tell us what she does, and she's going to tell why and all that stuff. So without any further ado, after having wasted 3 minutes on my crap, here's Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hello. How are you? Thank you for having me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming here. This is going to be fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to this. So I made a bad introduction of yourself by saying you're the founder of TwoLine Studios, which is true. Yes. And you do visual storytelling, which is very, very much short-changing your abilities. And you're awesome, which is also true. But fix that. Fix my crap and tell me, what is it that you do and why are you here today?
Yes. So Heather Willems here, CEO, founder of TwoLine Studios, and I'm a visual strategist. That's kind of the title that I give myself. And so through TwoLine Studios, we're a creative problem-solving firm. And really what my purpose and goal is to really help empower people to solve their own problems through creativity. And then the visual strategy is I view everything through that lens, really. So that ties into the visual storytelling, graphic recording, illustration, animation, like any way that we can listen to people's content conversation and then help them depict it in a visual way that helps the complexity disappear so the message shines through.
Okay. It must be said that I'm pretty bad at technology, and I've been trying with Heather to add something here to show you what is the work that she does. I'm going to try one more time, and if this doesn't work, then let's see. It seems to be uploading. Nope, it won't let me do it. So I don't have an idea how technology works. I should get a new job. I'm thinking about selling coconuts in the beach in northern Brazil or something, because this is not going to work.
Awesome.
Right? So I wanted to show one of these things, but you've seen them all over LinkedIn, all over Twitter, back in the day when Twitter was a place that people went to. I'm guessing Instagram. You have an Instagram account as well?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. On the TwoLine Studios, TwoLine and then Studios LinkedIn page, you can see a lot of different examples, many examples from folks that you know over at Five9 and Constellation, other really great organizations, and on our website.
Yeah.
TwoLine Studios.
So this is the part that amazes me. Stupid people like me get on stage and spout charlatanisms about some topic, and Heather and her people are standing next to the stage with a big board and a bunch of color markers. And as you talk, they pick up the key talking points that you're saying, they draw them out, they connect them somehow, and you end up with a board that has the whole story of what you actually just said on stage. Did I get that? I mean, that simplified it, but that's right. Right?
Yeah, that's the graphic recording aspect.
Right.
So
yeah.
what you'd see.
I know that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. So that's a graphic recorder, and I know that you also work with the organizations to do, like you said, visual strategy on the same concept. Hey, let's talk about what we're doing. Let's put it in graphic form and show you. And this is great because why?
Well, the graphic recording and the visualizing conversations, like whether it is, like you said, at the front of a stage when people are delivering a keynote or in a panel discussion, or when you're, 8 people or the leadership team in the conference room for 3 days trying to hash out a strategy. What we are doing there at a very high level, and every situation's a little different, but we're listening to the conversation. We're listening for the metaphors and the visuals that come out in the conversation. We're pulling out the key ideas and putting them onto one board to create a summary of what's being said. And so why that's important, why it's valuable, ultimately at the end of the day, honestly, I think it's because people need to feel seen and heard, and they need, they want to be listened to. But what that does, like when we are visually depicting that they're being heard, people have a heightened engagement. They start to calm down and align around common ideas. Very important when you're in those strategy sessions to get people aligned. And it also fosters this creative collaboration. And what you're very familiar with from being seeing us in the conference network, the conference scene, is that it creates this single page summary. So you have a 45-minute conversation, all of the key points are on one board, and that creates a really lasting memory that can be used social media and all.
So were you one of those people in college that was sitting in the bank taking notes all the time when the professor was talking, or were you like doing bubbles and lines to recreate the concepts, or how are you taking notes? How do you get started on this?
I think the answer to that is yes. How I got started in a very different way. I've been doing this for 18 years. I cannot believe that it's been 18 years. Yeah. Talk about feeling old. Holy cow. But my background is in fine art photography, actually. Okay. So instead of drawing the pictures, I have the training in looking for that precise moment that captures the story in a photograph. So right out of grad school, I ended up working at Capgemini at the ASE, so at the Accelerated Solutions environment. And so for folks that aren't familiar with that EY and Capgemini model, it's basically was design thinking before design thinking was a thing. So, I have my roots are in facilitation and teaching, and I had the skill of being able to visually depict ideas. So that's kind of where it started. It was someone literally at Capgemini handed me a marker and said, "You're an artist, go draw what they're saying." And, I was like, why? I don't get it. But it came very, very quickly. It was like, oh, when someone's up there drawing, when I was drawing what was being said and, doing a little bit more than taking notes, ideas started to connect in the room. People were literally saying like, I know that you heard what I said because she wrote it down. And then also I think what's really cool, like more we see it in the conference world too. Like when there's a panel discussion, you're like, what's that person talking about? How does it connect to the next person's conversation? It's like when those visuals, and even if it's just text, are seen together on the page, it starts to have a conversation with each other. Like the visuals start to have their own conversation, and these two simple ideas become something much more complex.
And by the way, this is the thing that astonishes me about you and your people, because you seen me on stage. My panels are different. I don't ask everybody the same question. Don't care about that. I want to foster conversations, right?
Yes.
And we also have very short time, so I want to foster conversations that are limited to 30 seconds to 1 minute per answer. And it's incredible the talent that you guys have to actually do exactly what you said. How do you connect the dots? You're a dot connector in real time, essentially. I mean, people are saying this, and then that person says that. So I think that you're, and to me, that's very, very interesting, because dot connecting is hard. It's hard when you have the information in front of you and you have time, but in real time, I mean, what are the special skills that you see? You know, I mean, I'm not saying that you have or you don't have, but what are the special skills that you find on people that you bring to work with you that it lets you see that they get the idea of connecting dots in real time?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, folks that work with me and that have worked with me over the past decades, drawing is a really strong skill set to have, but almost
I can't draw a freaking straight line with a ruler and a marker, okay?
Yes, so. That is a very common comment. However, you don't have to draw well. You know, it's just like, I think even just having the confidence with the marker, because you know, you see it when you start to make marks on a page while you're talking, it helps you think differently. It helps you to shift perspective.
That's right. Yeah.
But to specifically the question that you're talking about is like, what do I look for in folks that I choose to mentor and or train or work with? One is that they are excellent listeners. They're very good at sitting back, having a really open mindset, and then kind of synthesizing the ideas that come through. It's almost like a reporter or a journalist, you know, that's kind of listening for those key ideas, but then also being able to see the bigger picture. So understanding not necessarily only the context, the content that is being fed to you, but also what is the bigger context of the information that's being shared. And that might be things like, you know, who's in the room, what's the purpose of either the event or that meeting or that moment, and then how are people going to
I think we froze. Let's hope she comes back, because I don't know how to fill in here. Heather, if you can hear me, I think you're frozen. This is not be happening. I hope it's you. I don't seem to be frozen here, but we'll see. Are you frozen? Yeah, it's you. Oh man. Try to disconnect. So I'm gonna remove you. If you can hear me, try to reconnect, and I'll just try to bump for a minute or two, see if you return. Wow, that was starting to go in the right direction. I had a lot more questions to ask, and now she left. So let's give it about a minute or so to see if she can come back and get her back on track and have the follow up to the conversation. You know, we'll do some bumping for about a minute. Sorry to those of you who are listening now. We'll try to remove it in the editing part if it doesn't work, and if not, we'll resume this show sometime in the near future, probably next year, given the calendar that we have going forward. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much of my stuff. So if you're listening and you have something you want to say before she comes back, please add it to the comments or send me a direct message, a text or something, and we'll figure it out how to get you in or something like that. And, you know, we have about 30 seconds, and if not, we'll just end the stream and replay it on another time. So let's give it about 30 more seconds. So one more thing about next week. I'm really looking forward, like I said, to the conversation with Rafaela about transmedia. This is going to be a topic that is going to play incredibly powerful next year. And believe it or not, the conversation with Craig on e-commerce is absolutely 1,000% related to the conversation on transmedia, to the conversation on storytelling, to the conversation on narratives, and all these things. So next week is going to be a very interesting, very important week, setting everything up for 2024. And I hope you can join us then. And then it will be a lot of fun on the, thanks to Alan Bergson, I will say inaugural versus first annual. In the inaugural conversation with the co-host to see where we're going and what we're doing. And that's going to happen on the 19th. And then we'll shut down for the holidays and come back and see you next year. And unfortunately, I don't think that she can resume here. We have a comment. Yay. Let's see. Alan Bergson, synthesis is a great skill. What does it mean to you? You know what it means to me, and we'll give it Heather another 30 seconds as she comes back. But to me, synthesis is the ability to, connect the dots. That's the easiest way to explain it. Synthesizing is connecting the dots. It's taking all the different things, connecting the dots, and then explaining in a way that makes sense to everybody. That's basically it. But, short of bumping for the next 45 minutes, which I really don't appreciate to do to you because you guys are my loyal listeners that are looking forward to this. I think we're going to call it a day. Unfortunately, technology failed me one more time. And we are going to resume next week on Tuesday with Craig Rosenberg, on Wednesday with Rafaela Camara. And thank you very much for listening for the first 15 minutes. We'll replay the conversation sometime next year with Heather. My deep apologies for the technology scripts. And we are out.